I have said before, just a few more steps. When you think something is just a few more steps. I mean, I could remember God coming to me and telling me, Marion, you're not going to be in this house very long. I wound up in that house for 25 years. He apparently thought that wasn't very long. And then I knew that where he said this other house, I would be there only 2 years. And to the day, it was 2 years. To the day, it was 25 years. You know, it just was amazing to me that when he'd made a decision, something happened. And that is why if he prophesies to you and he gives you a prophecy, like with me, some of those prophecies from 30, 40, 35, and 40 years ago are coming to pass right now. And he brings them to my remembrance and he says, this is to fulfill the prophecy I gave you in such and such a time. And I'll remember it as clear as a bell. And I'll see it coming to pass. And it's amazing to me because it's like the word of God. You know, this happened to fulfill the scriptures. Well, apparently I got a book that he's fulfilling the prophecies that he gave me that I wrote down. It's amazing to me. There are very few that are not fulfilled in my life. I don't know when they'll be fulfilled. And when they are fulfilled, they might be 20 years in fulfilling them. Not necessarily 1 year, 2 years. It took me practically a lifetime to write those books. Actually, it took not my whole life, but sure it did, I guess. Every experience in my whole life was in those books. We are saved by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And we loved not our lives unto death. So when we testify to a reality of an experience that could literally bring up the faith and the hope in others, it has the power to lift up their lives where they will believe and follow God as they should. It's the word of our testimonies. We are saved by the blood of the Lamb. We're not saved by religion. Read James. He'll tell you what religion is. We are saved. Jesus is all about salvation. And he talks in Hebrews about putting away dead works. And he talks even about having doctrines of laying on of hands and doing this. He says, this we will do if God permit, but we got to put those things aside. Well, why would God want you to put those things aside? Those are works in the church. Why does God want you to? Because as long as you're thinking about doing that, you can't get to a place where he can cleanse you, mold you, and make you, and sanctify you. Sanctification is to set you apart and make you holy. I can't say that enough to you. I can't tell it to you enough different ways because it is so, so important. And you can say to yourself, well, I'm past that. No, you're not. I want to get past that. You can't. You can't get past the process of everything in your thoughts, your eyesight, your emotions, your subconscious, your memories, everything that you have ever said or done. You can't get past it until you die to it, until you allow God to bring that thought right into your face and say, this is not of me. And what do you do with it when you find out it's not of you and it's been in you? It's not of God, but it's been inside of you. What do you do with that? You've brought it captive before Jesus Christ. You laid it before him. And you tell him, according to your word, I'm going to hell. Save me from hell. That's what I did. Oh, that's exactly what I did from the very beginning. My tongue, according to your word, is going to take me to hell. Save me from hell. And he poured out his spirit where I don't even use slang. He just lifted. That's close to 50 years ago that he just lifted it off of me. Now, why would he do that to you? If you confess with your mouth what you believe in your heart, and you're with God, and with, when they say, well, you have to have witnesses, there are things you do. You should have witness. Let everything be established in the mouth of two or more witnesses. You can call up your brother or your sister in the Lord and said, hey, I just got victory. God came and did this, and I just got the victory. Now it's established between two witnesses. If you go to the third one, it's three witnesses. It's established. It's written in heaven that you talked to so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, and you established that God did this. It didn't mean that you had to physically have them right there with you when it was being done. That's what the flesh puts on it. That's what the fleshy eyes see. Well, you've got to do it in church. You've got to do it here. You can't do it by yourself. Of course you can. Your relationship with God should always be by yourself. Just you and him. Because there's things that you want to talk to him about that you can't tell everybody. He don't want you to. Because when you tell everybody the things that just are personal between you and him, you get their minds thinking, they're doing it. And they start thinking in the wrong direction. And you send them down rabbit holes of sin because you shared too much. When you start telling them about all the things that you went through, that it doesn't glorify God, it glorifies Satan. You describe it in such a way that it makes the person go, ooh, God don't even want to hear it. You haven't learned to testify the truth without glorifying Satan and all his evil. You haven't learned that. You have to learn how to talk about it being wrong, to talk about what you went through, and glorify what God pulled you through. Lift him up where he's more important than what happened to you. You have to learn that. That's learning. That's all part of your learning. I know there's a lot of subjects that people want to know more about, such as finances. There's going to be a time where finances are going to be easier for the Christian to get, because the door has been locked shut, where the evil of the world, like the Diddies and all the others and Hollywood, they just sucked it out from your life. Because what they did was they sucked out your faith. They sucked out your reality. They sucked out everything when you just pay money to go and see a movie. You literally pay money to see movies. I wouldn't pay a penny for a movie. I don't care what kind it is. I won't pay a penny for what's someone's imagination. I won't sit in front of Hallmark, which is nothing but romance. And it's changes. I wouldn't pay a penny for a Christian movie because so many of them are so wrong. So many of them are teaching things that are so wrong. I don't even do that. I did tell about the time that I was in the hospital for open heart surgery, and I was so far gone that I couldn't, even if I wanted to, I couldn't pick up the remote and find a channel. My brain just couldn't function. And I can remember that I needed some peace, some time to just rest. And I remember falling asleep, and I would get a full Christian movie where the credits would come up, the actors and actresses would come up. Everything in that movie, from beginning to end, was all God and it was Christian. So I know there are people who make Christian movies, real Christian movies, and they're holy and they have so much to say. So I'm not talking about all Christian movies. I just don't see how anybody can feed Netflix, literally give them all your money, when you know that that couple destroyed America. You know that that couple to this day is having a good time playing. They don't want to work. They don't care what happens to this country. They never cared about what happened to you. And they're still feeding race baiting. And you give them money because you just have to be entertained. Well, that entertainment, it sits in the imagination of your heart. It reaches and permeates your mind, even your subconscious mind, and it controls you. It controls your thinking, and that's why you can't choose rightly. Because you do it willingly. You willingly choose it. Well, it's going to be all right. I don't have to concern myself because I know I'm going to be fine. God promised to take care of me. No, he won't. You walk into a den of cobras. What did he say to Satan when Satan says, "Cast yourself down. God will catch you. God will save you." What did Jesus say? Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. So that means that if you go out and jump into a den of vipers, thinking God's going to come save me, I'm going to just enjoy the vipers while I can, and God will come and save me. You are tempting him. No difference. That's how you tempt God. You go and you walk somewhere that you know you shouldn't be. You know you should not be with those people, but you go there anyway because you want and need in your mind to be entertained. And God knows he loves me so much. He's going to do this for me. No one is ever going to hurt me. Really now? You want to jump off that cliff? You go right ahead. But don't expect me to go with you. People will do that. Actually, presumptuous sin. Psalm 19. I know that there are people who hate that psalm. Why? Because it convicts them. Because it literally tells you that everything God made tells you what to do with it, including your own body. And they don't want to hear that. Even an animal knows what to do with their own body. And that is amazing to me when there are men and women who come to a state of confusion that they put themselves in, and then they say, well, God made me this way. No, he didn't. If you were born into it, chances are it's a generational curse. And I'm not talking about man's generations. I'm talking about God cursing the generations because he hated it then and he hates it now. Big difference. And you can't get him to lift it. You can't get him to change it unless you are willing to go where he says to go and do what he says to do. Unless you are willing to hear what he has to say about it. You are willing to love him supremely. But when you throw your hands up in the air and say, yeah, but I was made this way. Look, you know the guy that was raped at the age of 4 years old and beaten and raped again and beaten? I have more compassion on him and understanding, and I know that God does also, that probably did form him where he is incapable by himself to change or even want to change. And as he gets older, it'll get worse and worse because it's only when you're younger that you have the stamina and the strength to even want to change. That's why when you get older, it's very hard. When you get up there and you get older, it's hard to even live. A lot of people spend their whole day concentrating on surviving, overcoming what they're overwhelmed with just to stay alive. And some of them, you'll watch them, they give up. They say, this is just too difficult. I don't want to live anymore. I'm tired. I want to go home. Some of them do that too. Told you before, old age is not something that comes on gradually. Old age is something that, it happens. Yesterday, it seems like I could do that. Now I can't do it anymore. It happens. And if you're wise, you know how to use your time. If you're wise, you won't presume everything is going to be all right if you jump over that cliff. You're going to be careful with your decisions because you learn to grow up. You've learned to do what is right.